Remember this, y'all? Remember this? Going live? Huh? Also, hi to people who are waiting for me. I can see the number, but I can't see the names. So if you want to say hello and you want to hear your name come out of my mouth, now would be the time. There's a moment if you watch the me reacting to my video from 3 years ago about quitting my job, where I referenced the part where like a fly gets in my shirt and I'm like, what is this inside of me, right? And then and then in my reaction, I'm like, that hasn't changed. I still don't like when things are inside of me. And the way I had to like squash my face to not make that like a hit kind of joke, because we both know that is not true. I'm just really proud of myself and my maturity. Also, hi, Liz, if you're here. I was looking yesterday and I saw that comment was there yesterday. So I don't know if you're actually here with us now. But also, I am maybe, no promises, doing a vlog. I signed a new coaching client and part of what she's doing is vlogging. And she gave me some recommendations of vloggers she likes. And so I've been checking them out. And it inspired me. I was like, right, vlogs. But of course, the reality of making a vlog is that you just see the mundanity of your life. And it's really just like eating rice and beans alone in a kitchen. And you're like, I just don't know. I just don't know when it comes to retention editing, if this is going to be the content people want to see. But who am I to judge for them? Let me make it. Let me offer it. And we'll see. Avidan! What did you walk into? What's happening? It's been so long. I think I'm trying to remember the energy. Because, I could just like, just like buzz for 30 minutes straight, not sharing any kind of content. So my thinking for this would be, folks were like, oh, do like answer more chat GPT questions, because that's how I did that first video where I was talking about my reflections. I just asked chat GPT, like, what are some questions folks would want to know from someone who quit their job 3 years ago and they're doing the update and they became a full-time YouTuber? And they just like spit out some questions. So I think I answered 2, but there were asked for 10. So there are a bunch more of those questions. But also I know that like, when we're live together, sometimes folks just have questions that are on the top of their mind. And so I want to provide that space if that's what you're interested in. So we're going to be here for about half an hour. Let me actually go ahead and do this now. I was like, I think at some point, I'm going to have to get some water, because I remember when I first started going live, I was so nervous and I wanted to like provide so much value that I didn't even like let myself stop talking for a single second to get a glass of water. And somebody was like, girl, get yourself something to drink, And ever since then, I've been like, Shimdi, put your needs first. So really quick, I'm going to just get myself something to drink. Feel free while I do this to say hello. Let me know who you are. If you have any questions, like I said. And actually, speaking of applying for jobs, hydrate, literally, yes. I was literally looking at a full-time role, not this morning, yes. And I realized almost immediately that I didn't want to do that shit. But the fact that I was looking, I thought was really important to share, because I don't want to make it seem as if like, if you quit your job. Okay, so this is where I may be messed up. Now I'm trying to refill the filter while also on here. I need to prioritize. I'm just going to leave that there. You know how you regret it though later when you're like, damn, I should have filled it up, but it's fine. We have our hydration. We're taking ourselves back to that gorgeous lighting. It would be fun if during this live, I just like moved every like 5-10 minutes and just like sat in a different place. But yeah, I didn't want to make it seem as if like, if you quit your 9-to-5 because it wasn't working out for you, that somehow you like failed by going back to one. Because I have definitely had part-time jobs since leaving. It really, to me, is like, what is the motivation for you taking the job? Like, is it coming from this place of like fear and lack and scarcity? And oh no, how am I going to pay my bills? And I'm going to be on the street and I need to do something. Like, if that's the energy, in my opinion, if that's the energy that you have when moving towards something, the frequency that you're attracting is just more of the same. So the job that you're in is going to end up continuing to stress you out, continuing to make you miserable, continuing to make you feel insecure, because that was what you were bringing to it. So for me, in thinking about applying to this job this morning, I was like, yeah, I'd only be doing it because I was reading this spiritual book last night, and it referenced, like, of course, this idea that God takes care of us. And then the narrator in the book is like, what about that homeless man sitting on the bench talking about, oh, God's going to pay my rent, but there he is homeless. And then the book is like, this is like a channeled work. This is a channeled from source book. Is like, well, that motherfucker should get a job. And I was like, what? I was like, what? I took that shit personally. I was like, first off, why are you describing my situation? Fine, I'll go get a job right now. Also, the book is always like, please do not read this book and then go do stuff like we told you to do it. And I'm just like, that seemed pretty direct, though, specifically to me. I can go on with this story. I'm going to just pause and say hello to people who said things in the comments. Cecilia, hi, welcome back. Missed you. Adrian, hey, welcome. Hi. Okay, so the second half of this story is that I am like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and look for a job, right? Now, already, if y'all know me, you know I do not believe in looking for jobs as a concept. I exist. People offer me things. That is the dynamic, okay? So the fact that I was even like, let me fix my fingers to go type and shit on Google, crazy. And of course, I didn't do that. What I did is I went into the Adobe Discord server. So on Wednesday, I had the really fun chance to go to this like cool creative dinner. I was like, this is all I wanted in life, y'all, was to hang out and eat free food and to hang out with other creatives. That's it. That's it. I was like, I'm happy. I'm content. I want nothing more from this life. And so the person I'm sitting next to mentions, Janelle, hi, remember me? Remember us? Speaking of, I listened to all of Taylor Swift's 2-hour, really, Taylor, 2 hours? 2-hour album yesterday. And she's got a song, I think it's called Down Bad, where she's like, if I can't have you. And then there's a line where she's like, if I can't have us. And I was like, I love it. She also has a lyric that's like, she's talking about people talking about her. And she's like, oh, look, it's the who's who of who's that. And I'm like, ooh, I had to like go on Genius. Like, what does that line mean? And the person was like, so she's subtly shading those people who are talking about her because literally, who are they? And I was like, wow. So yeah, big Taylor fan. Stephanie here. Hi, oh my God, it feels like a family reunion. I'm sorry it's been so long, y'all. I had to, you know me, y'all. I had to sob. I had to weep. Had to heal. I'm doing this vlogging and I'm like, okay, Chimdi, are you going to include all the sobbing? Like, are you going to set up your camera right now as you read this passage in this book that's making you like heave? Like, are you going to give people the full story? It's early. My plan is to vlog for a full week. So we'll see. Let me know. Let me know if you're like, yeah, girl, include your sobbing. You keep talking about it. Let us watch you do it. Or if you're like, we get it. We cry. We know what it's like. We don't need to watch you cry too. Let me know your preference. So anyway, I'm looking at this job. Okay, wait. Adobe dinner. Favorite thing to happen. Free food with good company. And then, oh my gosh, there's so much to share even about that in terms of like being amongst peers. But I'm like, that imposter syndrome thing of like, y'all are like actually successful. Like like that thing of like, I'm just here because I know homegirl and like, it's like a friend of a friend situation. So even that was so interesting, but that's a whole nother live, y'all. The person next to me mentioned the Adobe Discord and was like, oh, let me know if y'all want the link too. I can like pop it in here somewhere. And mentioned that they had got these great opportunities from it, just from like being active in it. And I was like, dope. And so I was actually already a part of it, didn't realize, because I think the creator camp moved into that Discord. And so yesterday, when this book told me to get a job, I was like, fine, let me go on this Discord, not to get a job, just to see what was up. But there was someone who was straight up, the girl Marguerite, hey girl, straight up just posting job listings. So I click on one. And then I go on the website, I think it's called Publishing Press, and it's all of these like creator jobs. So like editors and videographers and content strategists and all these kinds of roles, right? Social media things. And there's a role for a senior YouTube strategist. So kind of what I do as a creative coach, but like really specifically focused on like retention editing, titles, thumbnails, storytelling, video topics, all the things that are super important as a YouTube creator. But my coaching is like that, but also like the emotional, spiritual, subconscious, psychological, like all the things where, this information in terms of retention editing and all that stuff, it's available. Like there's nothing stopping you if you're curious to just Google it and find out how to do that stuff. To me, I'm like, why aren't you doing it? What's actually stopping you? We need to address that so you can actually do the thing. And so I'm looking at this job. First off, y'all, I had a physical reaction to clicking on the creator's YouTube channel, because their YouTube channel, they had hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but all of their videos was just a huge YouTuber's face, like their big ass face. And then like, how this person changed YouTube forever and how this person grew so fast, like, which is great and important. But like, to me, it was like, you're building your channel off of like using people's faces that are already more successful, which is totally fine. But then to say, I'm going to teach a strategy based on that when that seemed to be the strategy. But what I thought was so interesting was that literally I had like a physical, like my stomach was like, it was like a recoil. And I was like, well, obviously something else is going on, right? And so I did a process on it. And basically what I connected to is, y'all can imagine, a deep, deep fear, right? So just thinking about, it's always just the worst case scenarios of what could happen as like a female hot YouTuber, and like people finding out where I live, and just all the nightmare scenarios, right? And so I just did this process where I put my hand on my belly, and I imagine like the hand of God like being placed on top. And I was just like, and then that process, I think, cleared enough energy where then this morning I was like, you know what? I very clearly judged this person, not because of them, but because of my own stuff. Let me actually watch one of these videos where they're explaining the strategy of these really successful YouTubers. And guess what? It was helpful, just the hubris, the humility. Like, it was actually really valuable because, of course, lots of people try to be successful by just leveraging more successful creators in their thumbnail, but that doesn't always lead to actual success, because you need to actually make a video that's good. And the video actually did that. And then what I realized is like, I don't want to necessarily like teach other people. I don't want to get a full-time job with this person and help teach the strategy to people. I want to actually embody what this person is explaining in terms of how to be successful on YouTube, and then have that be the thing that attracts clients to me, right? Instead of, working for someone else and building someone else's vision. So we're going to check back in because it's been a second into the chat. Stephanie's saying, it's not just you. I've been sobbing and healing as well. Woohoo! That is one thing I'll say. I feel really grateful that I'm doing free discovery calls again, because I'm getting to talk to so many different people. And the amount of people who are on a similar wavelength is so shocking and cool. And because, as a creator, you kind of exist in a silo. You don't really, you only know what other people who you are watching on YouTube are up to, or just like your immediate circle of friends. So unless you intentionally put yourself in creative communities or spiritual communities, whatever else, it's hard to get a pulse on what's actually happening, because we can just so easily just follow the Instagram accounts that we like. And so of course, everyone's thinking like us. So to actually be talking to people and I'm like, you're on the same wavelength, because there used to be so much fear to me around talking about certain stuff, because I was like, I had the stereotype of who my audience was. And I was like, they're not going to like it if I talk about some of these other esoteric things. But then when I actually talk to people, I'm like, oh no, we're on the same frequency. And I'm like, okay, it's so exciting. Okay. For all that, I'm going to finally now drink a sip of water and take a brief pause. Hopefully I want to get to the point where I can actually use, this is what I'm vlogging with. Oh, that's so fun whenever I do that. Let me get a shot of me vlogging and maybe insert it. I think what I'll do is I'll make, because I'm getting so much B-roll, right? So I'll probably use the B-roll in other videos, and then I'll make a vlog and put it on the Patreon, and I'll be like, y'all, be honest, should I put this on YouTube or not? And if y'all are like, just bored, I'll be like, okay, well, just for you then, just for y'all. But if you're like, no, girl, share it, it's cute, I'll be like, okay. All right, I'm just gonna get some video of y'all. This is now you can see like the behind the scenes of what I see when I'm vlogging. So basically, what I see is my own face, obs, and then I see how many people are currently here, which is 8 people, and then I see like the chat. So Abadan, Cecilia, Adrian, Stephanie, like y'all will be in my vlog and or in some B-roll later. Okay. So yeah, let me know if you have any particular questions in terms of my journey. Despite feeling like the book told me to get a job, obviously what I'm not going to do is get a job. What if I made that my brand? It's just like, how long can she go without getting a full-time role? How long can she go without having health insurance? Holy shit, it's been 3 years. Wow. Can she make it to 4? But also, like, that's not radical. My lifestyle, that's also what the video taught me. I'm not living some kind of radical ass life. It just seems that way if you're only in like the narrative of 9 to 5, school to work to death, kind of whatever, right? Like, so many people, both voluntarily and involuntarily, are like not active in the workforce. I don't know any of the stats, y'all. You know how I am in terms of vibes and research. But apparently, like, there's a huge trend of like young people who like they're not in school and they're also not working. So they're kind of just out here operating, right? And I think it's interesting because that's kind of painted. The narrative seems to be like, this is a crisis, this is a problem. And I'm curious about it actually speaking to like this transformation that's happening in our different systems, and it's showing up in the young people because the young people are like the new wave, and they're bringing in like the new light codes and like the new updates for how we exist in this world. And we all know we don't actually have to do anything. Like the earth gives us all of our food, so what do we even really need? Like that's like the real thing, is like we don't really need anything, we just kind of make up stuff to need. So yeah, I'm very curious about that. But just to clarify, 9 to 5 jobs, I do not think they are bad, and I think they are great. And if someone wants to offer me one that is just so chill, so chill, and high paying, and creative, and remote, obviously, I'll definitely think about it. I'm not even gonna say I'm gonna say yes to it, but I'll definitely think about it, like for sure. Another thing, so I was on some other creators like live stream. This was maybe a month ago. And this was my first time being on someone else's live stream, which is so interesting. And what I realized is like, I always thought like it was more or less like a YouTube video where it's like, I'm gonna talk at y'all. I'm gonna talk at y'all. Y'all are gonna listen. And then hopefully you'll put something in the comment section like Abadan just did that I can respond to. So Abadan says, what has been the most encouraging part of your YouTube journey, and how has that impacted you with moving forward to continue being a full-time entrepreneur? So the most encouraging part has been the connections with other people and the felt sense that the things I was saying and the way I'm showing up is actually making a difference in people's lives. Because to be a creator is to sit in front of a camera and then to edit on your laptop by yourself. So you have no sense of the impact. And even like comments, depending on your trauma makeup, if you have a sort of wall up in terms of how much love you can let in, people will say all these nice comments, but they'll kind of just bounce off, right? Because they're not really allowed to actually like get in and touch you. And so as I've been doing more healing work, the actual comments from people saying like, girl, like you have really, really helped me. Like you've really helped me make some kind of change in my life, or I have this new courage, or I just created this new thing. Like it's really starting to land. And I think with some certain kinds of trauma and also like separation and all these things, right? The spiritual things too. Like we don't really get a sense of how connected we are to each other. And so there's a sense that if I were to not be here, things would just continue on as fine. You know what I mean? Just a general sense of we come, we go, life moves on kind of energy. And so it can be easy to undervalue and underestimate the impact just one person sharing their experience can really have. And I think that's what I did. And so to actually see like, oh crap, like I made this thing and I talked about this thing And even beyond that, just like the energy I have and the way I'm showing up and my laugh, like these are things that people are really receiving true, genuine value from was very like, whoa, like on a spiritual level, it was like very fascinating. And I think a lot of what we do in life is because we're trying to, like, our soul is trying to learn certain lessons. So we create these scenarios so that we can learn a certain lesson. And I think a lot about that with YouTube because I was thinking like there's so many easier ways to make money. You know what I mean? Like there's so like why would I do it in this way? There's so many ways to be creative. There are YouTube channels like that YouTube channel I watched earlier. The guy didn't show his face not one time. He literally just had a nice script. The whole thing was B-roll. The whole thing was clips from other creators' channel. And he had hundreds of thousands of views. And chances are like thousands of dollars every month in AdSense. So it's like there's a way to make money on YouTube that doesn't challenge some of the emotional stuff around being seen, being vulnerable, being affirmed, being validated. And I'm choosing to not go down that much easier route and instead do it like this. And so it's that thing of like, okay, girl, why? Why? And I think part of why I keep going in the entrepreneurship journey is because the amount of like vulnerability and presence and really feeling like you're on like the cliff, the cliff's edge of life, it's pretty intense, and it kind of takes like some people are like external daredevils or like external thrill seekers. Like they'll literally put themselves on Mount Kilimanjaro or they'll put themselves, you know what I mean, skydiving or whatever else. And I think there's like an emotional way of doing that. And I have a sense that that's kind of what I'm doing. And that's what entrepreneurship is because it does take way more emotional like courage and like energy every day to do it than it is to sort of clock in and know you're in a system that's kind of supported or structured to help you just kind of keep showing up. Like someone tells you what to do, you do it. They're like, great, here's some money. You're like, thanks. And you work to live, So that's where I'm at with that. I'll take another water break. I can hear the birds chirping. One thing about quitting my job too is obviously most people work in offices, or they work inside of places. And so you're just like not outside in the middle of the day for long stretches of time. And that's one huge thing where I'm like, wait, so the moon, I thought the moon literally only came out at night for real. So the fact that like I would be walking in the middle of the day and be like, the moon's there, like it would shock me. And I'm like, has the moon always been there? And then, yeah, just like bird sounds and trees and butterflies, like all this nature that's always been here. I have a totally different relationship to it since quitting. And it's very shocking because it's not new. Like the moon has literally always been there, but I've never had the presence to notice it. And it's very strange. You're welcome, Abadan. So I was saying about being on this other creators live, right? So I thought the way we did it was that I would share, folks would hopefully engage in the comments, but essentially it was my job to keep this running stream of consciousness, for however long I was live. But then when I was on their live stream, it was two of them. And also they had like over like 100 people in the chat. So they just sat back. They just sat back. And they were like, what y'all talking about? They were just like, so what y'all talking about? They would just read the chat while we watched them. And I was like, what is this? And it also spoke to me of like, there is an easy way of doing life. There's an easy way. And there's a way that we can choose to make more difficult. In the same way I was choosing to not hydrate myself because I just had this belief that to create and to be on YouTube meant to do it in a certain way. And I think there's a correlation between how much fear you have and how much you let things just be easy. Because the fear of like, oh, I can't even take a break for a single second is the same energy of like, well, then if I stop, then they'll leave the stream, and then then you kind of keep going down. Then they'll leave my channel and then I won't make any money and then I'll be on the street and I'll die alone. Like it's always just the same kind of existential fear. But the more confidence you have that it's like, listen, hey, hey y'all, it's me. It's Saturday. How's your Saturday going? Let's chat. This is fun. Isn't she so pretty? Look at her smile. My favorite thing about myself, and I have a lot, is how much I give myself compliments. It's my favorite thing. Like whenever I hear someone's inner monologue, like people just, some people just like end up saying their inner monologue out loud and they're like mean to themselves. I am just like, oh, I'm like, oh, I could not. I could never. I wake up in the morning. The first time, this is literally part of my ritual. The first time I see myself in the mirror, I'm like, good morning. How was your night? I'm always giving myself kisses. I always think like if I taught a yoga class, whenever we would be in any kind of down dog position, I'd be like, okay, and now give yourself a little kiss on the shoulder. You're so cute. And like, I will just make that a part of the routine. And then I think I'm learning more and more like, oh, most people, or not most people, a lot of people don't have that relationship with themselves where they're just like, wow, so precious. So beautiful, so lovely. Oh, what a treat. What a treat. And I think you need some of that to be on YouTube because you have to like just want to look at your own face and hear your own self-talk and be watching your own video like, yeah. Good point. Good point. Great editing. We love to see it, etc. Not Natasha. Okay, is your name pronounced Natasha or Natasha with that spelling? Not Natasha or Natasha being like, isn't she so pretty? Look at her smile. I don't know if you're quoting me or just mirroring that back to me. Either way, I love it. Welcome. I appreciate you. You're fitting in amazingly here, and we love to see it. Natisha. Okay, perfectly. Perfect. Okay. And Cecilia is giving me some laughing emojis. Also, one thing I'm remembering about these live streams, and we only have 3 minutes left. I'm going to hop on here. I'm going to hop off of here and go to Patreon, and we're going to do a Zoom where we can actually talk to each other because this is weird job, me talking all the way. One thing I remember is that people would be like, not only am I not looking at your face, rude, while you're talking, I'm truly doing a whole set of chores. I am doing dishes. I am vacuuming. You are in the background of my life. Biggest insult ever. But then I was watching these vlogs, right? And the person in the vlog was like, put me on in the background. Let this play while you clean your house. And I'm like, huh? But of course, that's amazing for watch time and retention and all these things. This one creator, 3-hour vlogs, 3 hours. I was like, what the fuck? I curse because I get to. I don't know if this will impact my AdSense and things, but we're just having fun. We're just having fun on here. Cecilia is like self-love at its finest. I'm taking notes. Okay, so I think there is a little bit of a delay. So we only have a couple minutes. So literally, any last thoughts, put them in now, and then hopefully I'll see them before I log out of here in like 2 minutes. But this has been really fun. And I noticed for myself, I wasn't as nervous before. I tried to schedule these. I used to do them at least once a month, sometimes more often. And I would have this like nervousness, like leading up to it, knowing that like, okay, I'm going to be going live, Like it would just kind of be in the back of my head. And this time, I don't know if it's because it's just been so long and I missed y'all and I wanted to hang out, or if all the healing has done its thing, but there wasn't a sense of existential fear when I logged on here to chat. So I think that's a really good sign. All right, we've got 1 minute left. I'm going to go ahead and head over to my Patreon so that I can start the Zoom. But what I'll do, just in case you want to hang out with your girl, is I will pop the link in here. Literally, the tiers start at $3. So it's very affordable. I always think like maybe I should mention that when I say join my Patreon. It's like literally $3. But one, I kind of want to raise the prices, y'all. But it's like, how you gonna raise prices for free? Like, how are you gonna? How much? How do you put a price on voice notes that are deeply profound? I don't know. Which is to say, I don't want to lock myself into any price. You know, y'all, inflation. All right. Bye. Thanks for hanging out. This was so fun. If you're a Patreon person, I will see you over there.